Morning, boys and girls. So today we're going to be covering the answers to questions 111. Now I'm going to be uploading this maths lesson into at least 2 segments. So you have to start where I'm starting now, which is at the top at A. I'll be progressing on to B and C and D at the very end. So please do them in order and then go and do your maths lesson. Which is 112 for today after the corrections, guys, okay, because there's a lot of learning in this too. So we'll start off. What fraction, decimal, percentage of each shape is shaded and unshaded? So what I did there was, so that's 2 out of 5 were unshaded. I decided 2 out of 5 and number 1 were unshaded. So number 1, 2 out of 5 were unshaded. Now it said to convert that to a percentage. To convert that to percentage, I multiplied the bottom 5, the denominator by 20, which brings you to 100, because when you're dealing in percentages, you're dealing in hundreds. And what I do to the bottom, I do to the top, and I multiply the top by 20 to make it into 40 over 100. Now, guys, I know that 2/5 from learning is 2/5 is also equivalent to 4/10. And 4/10 is also 40 over 100. 2/10 is 20 over 100. 3/10 is the equivalent of 30 over 100. 7/10 is the equivalent of 70 over 100. Please listen to this back over and you'll understand. You've been doing this last year with N4th and again this year. So we notice now that our 2/5, 2 out of 5 of the shape was unshaded. When we break that down into a percentage, it is 40%. Therefore, the shaded part, you always take the 40 away from the 100 because it's percent, and that's 60%. Now, it asked you as a decimal. We know that to convert a percentage into a decimal, you divide by 100. So it's 40 point. Remember, we have an invisible decimal point after the 40. So if we, when we're converting a percentage back to a decimal, as we saw on page 110 yesterday, we divide by 100, so the decimal point looks like it's moving 2 places to the left, so we're left with 0.4. And if it's 0.4 is the unshaded part, you take that away from 1, because 1 is the whole number. 1 is 100%, and then it has to be 0.6 for the shaded part, okay? And if you don't believe me, convert the shaded part into a decimal. You divide by 100 because you have a percentage here and you want to convert to a decimal, and it looks like the decimal point, which is after the 60, is moving 2 places to the left, so you're left with 0.6. I want you to look at that closely. Very, very easy. Now we're going on to the next shape, and we notice that it is 3 out of 10. There's 10 segments, 10 equal segments, so it's 3/10. 3/10 is shaded, so therefore we want to convert the 3/10 to hundredths, because we're dealing in percentages, okay? When we convert the 3/10 to hundredths, we have a percentage straight away. So we multiply 10 by 10 to make 100, and what we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. What we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator. Now, obviously, I told you before, what I do is I get 3/10 of 100. I divide by 10 to get 1/10. So 100 divided by 10 is 10. Multiplied by 3 is 30. Like we used to do last year, okay, when we're getting 3/10. And it's 3/10 of 100. Why? Because we're doing percent per 100. And that's 30%, okay? You can do it that way or the way I was doing them yesterday. Whichever way is easier. The way that getting 3/10 dividing by 10 to get 1/10, multiplying by 3 to get 3/10 was the way we always did it. But now, because of percentages, they're multiplying the denominator to make it 100. And so what you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. But I just got 3/10 of 100 because 100 is your percentage. It's 100 squares and 100%. 30% is unshaded, 70% is shaded. Convert, you divide 30 by 100 to convert percentages back into a decimal, because they want you to give the decimal. Then the decimal point looks like it's moving 2 places to the left, you're left with 0.3. And then 70%, 2 places to the left, you're left with 0.7. Okay? Remember, when you're converting decimals to percentages, you multiply by 100, so your decimal point looks like it's moving 2 places to the right. When you're converting percentages to decimals, you divide by 100, so it looks like your decimal point is moving 2 places to the left. Okay, guys? And there, if you don't remember, look at page 110 and the blue box from yesterday. You have to know that. Absolutely crucial that you know that. Absolutely crucial that you know what to do. Okay, guys, so we're going on to 4. And 4 is again, number 3. Okay, I did the unshaded part 3 out of 10, and it's the same as above. You get the same answer. Okay, 30% was shaded, 70%, 30% unshaded, sorry, 70% shaded. And then when you divide by 100 to get the percentage, you get to convert from the percentage to the decimal. You move, it looks like your decimal point is moving 2 places to the left. Remember, we're converting from percentages to decimals, so we're dividing. It's the opposite when we're changing our decimals into percentages. We multiply by 100, so it looks like our decimal is moving to the right. Okay, guys? Now the next one, it's number 5, okay? And I counted up those segments and there were 16, okay, guys? Now, for me, and I've told you before, when you want to get a 6th, so it's a 16th, we're converting it to percentages. 1 over 16 is the exact same as 1/16th, is the exact same as dividing 1 by 16. Now, I told you before, if you want to convert a fraction into a decimal and it's not obvious jumping out at you that you know 1/16th is 0 point whatever, this is how you do it. Always, always, always. And that's how you do it. If you divided that to convert 3/10 into a decimal, you could divide 10 into 3, and you would end up with 0.3. And then 7 over 10 would be converted to 0.7. If you don't believe me, do it. Anyway, again, we have our division, and because it's long division, we're dividing 1 by 16, so it has to be long division. Why? Because there's 2 digits. Now follow me slowly. 16 into 1 won't go. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because we want to know what is the decimal. What decimal is equivalent to 1 over 16? Okay. So 16 into 1 won't go. I put up my decimal to align them. NBB. Then I bring over my 1 and I divide 16 into 10. 16 into 10 won't go. Then I bring over my 10 and it becomes 100. 16 into 100 goes 6 times, okay? Divide in, tick, division. What do you do next? Multiply back out. 6 by 16 is 96. Tick. What do I do next? I forgot my subtraction sign, sorry guys. I subtract. I take them away and I'm left with 4, okay? Now, remember I told you before, you cannot have a decimal with a remainder, so I can't have 0.6 remainder 4. So what do? I put a dude in the dungeon and it's 0. Now, will that 0 I have, that first 0, affect the value of 1? No. You can have 1.00000 all the way to infinity and beyond. It does not change. It'll still be 1. But why am I adding the 0? I'm adding the 0 because I want to see the value, the decimal value of a 16th. I want to convert a 16th into its decimal equivalent. Okay, so we start again. 16 into 1 won't go. Up the decimals, align the decimals. 16 into 10 will not go. Bring over your 10. 16 into 100 goes 6 times. Done. Multiply it back out. Next, DMs and your DDDD. Multiply it back out and you get 96. Done. Subtract and you get 4. Done. Can't have 0.6 remainder 4. I must continue. I put a dude in the dungeon, right guys? And I drag him down. Now I start the process again. So 16 into 40, okay, goes twice. Okay, I've done it. Then I multiply it back out as next, and I get 32. Done. Then I subtract 32 from 40 is 8. Done. Can I have an 8 remainder? 0.62 remainder 8? No. So I must put my second dude in the dungeon, okay? My second dude in the dungeon, I drag him down, right? So he's dragged down. So why am I putting in an extra 0? Because I have a remainder 8 and I can't have 0.062 remainder 8. You just can't do that. So I want to actually terminate this decimal, if at all possible. So I add a 0. Will this 0 affect the value of this? No. 1 is the same as 1.0000. I could add another million, an infinite number of zeros after that. It'll still be 1. So I've added my 0, and now I have 80. I start the whole process again. 16 into 80, it actually goes 5 times evenly. Done. What's next? Multiply it back out. 80. Done. Subtract 80 from 80, 0. I have nothing left here, so do I need to add another 0 to bring it down? No, because I am finished. There is no remainder, therefore my sum is finished. 0.625 is the answer. Don't be frightened by the value of the decimal. So 1/16 is 0.625. And 0.625 converted to a percentage. So when we're multiplying by 100, because we're converting to percentages 1, 2, it's 6.25%. And when we take that away from 100%, so it's going to be 100.00 take away 6.25. Now we're talking about percentages here. And when you take it away, you'll end up at 93.75. If you don't believe me, add 93.75 onto 6.25 and you will end up with 100%. So I want you to have a good old look at that. It's straightforward division. Don't be turned off by the adding the zeros. The zeros are just added so you can complete the sum. As I said, you can't have 0.6 remainder 4 or 0.62 remainder 8. You must complete, you continue until you have a 0. Now, like I'm saying that today, but there are exceptions where you have recurring decimals and you have to bring them to their nearest two places. That's just for next year. But this year, all of the decimals will end up terminating. Okay, you'll end up coming to a situation where you have no remainder at the bottom, so you have a finished complete decimal 0.0625. Converting it to a percentage, you multiply by 100. It looks like the decimal point is moving 2 places to the right, 1 to 6.25%, and then you take that away from 100% to get the value of the unshaded area. So the shaded area, oh God, I wrote that out, I made a mistake. The shaded area is 6.25 and the unshaded area is 93.75%. QED. Oh, there's, I did it there, sure. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. So the 15/16 was the 100. I just put the one, forget about that. That's just when I didn't convert it. That's when I took 0.625 away from 1. Why did I take away from 1? Because 0.625 is only a part of a part of 1. It is not a whole one. So to get what's left, it's 0.9375. Okay? But just as long as you understand this part, guys, that's the most important part. Okay? If you get the part at the bottom where I converted the 15/16, I knew that in order to get 15/16, I took it away from 1. Why? Because when we're not talking about percentages there, when we're talking about 0.9375, we're talking about that being a part of a whole number, and a whole number is 1.000000 to infinity and beyond. But if you understand this part, that's very important. So you might have to pause and go, just pause it and just see, just go back whatever it is, a minute or two, and just look at that again. But it's straightforward division. Don't be thrown off by adding the zeros. The zeros are just there for the benefit of completing the sum so that there are no remainders left. Okay, guys? Now I'm going on to the next one. So we have 5/16. Now 5/16 is the unshaded part. Now I didn't bother finding out what 1/16 was because I had it here. 1/16, I got 0.625. So what did I do? I multiplied I got 0.625, and to get 5/16, I multiplied by 5 because 0.0625 is 1/16. We got it from number 5. So simply multiplied by 5 to get 5/16, and that's 0.3125. Converting it to a percentage, we multiply by 100 and we have 31.25%. Okay, and then to get 11/16, I can either take the 31.25% away from 100.00%. Why do I put in 100.00? Because I have two numbers after the decimal point in when I'm taking it away, so I have to have 100.00 in order to do the takeaway. Or I can take 0.625, which is 5/15, away from 1. Why am I taking it away from 1? Because 11 and 5 make 16/16, and 16/16 is 1. Remember, these are not whole numbers. These are just part of one whole number, and one whole number is 1.0000. Why did I add the 4 zeros? Because there's 4 numbers after the decimal. So 1/16 is 0.625. 5/16 is multiplied by that, 0.3125. And if I take 0.3125 away from 1.000, because that's a whole, and these are part of a whole number. So this is part of a whole number. It is not a whole number. It is only 0.3125. In order to get the whole number, I'd have to add on 0.6875 to get 1. How did I know that? I took this away from that, and that is what I got. If you add these two numbers back together, they should end up as 1.0000, which is 1, because 1.0000 to infinity beyond is still 1. Okay, then to convert 11/16 into a fraction, into a percentage, you multiply by 100, and in multiplying by 100 it looks like the decimal point is going 2 places to the right, so I have 68.75%, or simple dimple, I can take 31.25, or I can take 31.25 away from 100%, 100.00, take it away, and I'll end up with 68.75. Either or, you will get the answer either which way. Okay, the decimal you have to take it away from 1 because it's part of a whole number. The percentage you will have to take 31.25 away from 100% because you're talking about percent per 100. That's the only difference. But you'll still end up with your right percentage and your right decimal. If you add 5/16 and 11/16, you end up with 16/16, which is 1. If you add their equivalents in decimals, okay, so their equivalent in decimals, so 5/16 is 0.3125, and 11/16, as we found out, was 0.6825. Add both of them together and you get 1.000, which is 1 unit, and 1 unit is equal to 100%. And finally, if you add their percentages, 31.25, which is this converted to, which is 0.3125 converted to a decimal, and 68.75, which is 0.6875 converted to a decimal. Now, I don't know if that's carrying over. That's a 1. It's not a decimal point, 5 and 5, 10. Okay, guys? When you add it up, you have 100%. When you add it up, here's 1. And 1 unit is exactly the same as 100%, as in 1 unit is 100%, because if you get one whole test right, you get 100%. If you eat one whole box of chocolates, you eat 100% of the chocolates. Now 7 is 1/4, and I'm not even going to go there. A quarter is 25%, and 3/4 is 75%, and a quarter is 0.25, and 3/4 is 0.75, and these are ones you should know off by heart. And 1/2 is 0.5, or 50%. Okay, guys? Now 3, 8. Where am I? 8. Okay. So 8 is 2/16. So I had 1/16. Now 2/16. Remember I had 1/16 and 0.625 multiplied by 2 is 0.1250. Okay. I have 1/16 from the very one I did back in number 8. Okay. And sorry, not the one I did in number 8. This is number 8. From the one I did in number 6, I got, or no, 5. I got the 1/16. Now I'm going on to 2/16. So that's 0.625 by 2 gives you 2/16. Okay. And 2/16 is equal to 0.125. You don't even have to add the 0. It's unnecessary. You get that? And 2/16 broken down is an eighth. So now we know an eighth is 0.125. Hope you understand that. 2/16 is actually an eighth. An eighth is 0.25. Guys, if you can remember 1/8, you'll be able to get 3/8. You'll be able to get 5/8. You'll be able to get 7/8. It'll make it very easy for you when you're working out, because you'll be dealing a lot in thirds, 2/3, eighths, fifths. You know, these are kind of and when you'll be doing them so many times that you'll actually start to remember that an eighth. Oh yeah, an eighth is 0.125. Okay, 2/8 is 0.3, or 3/8 is 0.375, and so forth. Okay. So it's 12.5% is shaded, okay, because you multiply by 100. And if 12.5% is shaded, you take that away from 100% to get its percentage. Okay, guys, to get its percentage, the remainder. So that would mean that 14 16ths or 7/8, the equivalent, would be 0.875. If you 0.875 as a number and then convert it to a percentage. All right. Now you can also, if you wanted to take 12.5 away from 100.0 to get the percentage that's left over, which would be 14/16, because 2/16 is 0.125, or 2/16 is 12.5%. Therefore, 14/16 is 0.875 expressed as a decimal, because we multiply 0.125 by 7. And then to convert it, we multiply by 100, which is 87.5%. I hope you understand that. Okay, guys, they're all interchangeable. You can either take it away from 1, you can either take 0.125 away from 1.000, and you get it's the remainder, the decimal, which will be equivalent to 7/8, and then you convert that to a percentage by multiplying by 100. Or when you convert 0.125 into a percentage, you take that percentage away from 100%, so that'll be 100.0 to accommodate the 0.5, and you end up with 87.5%. And then you can convert the 87.5% back into a decimal by dividing by 100, which means you move your decimal